Good morning, everyone. I believe today is Tuesday. Yes? Well, good morning, Walt. Good morning, Good morning, Mr. Tender-nism. You know, I had been waiting to see if my people were going to make an example out of Nick over at Destination Smokehouse for what he did to Unc. Now, I know all of y'all have heard about it. I think the first time I heard about Mr. Tender-nism, it was probably over there on Tasha K's platform. Uh, but then, of course, the situation went viral so fast that now that's all you hear them talking about is what happened. And I wanted to weigh in on that. Um, Number one, Unc is a seasoned man. He is older, he is up in age. And I don't think he saw that he was being used. And and listen, he has a love for food. So when you are passionate about something, when you really love doing something, uh, and again, at his age, it's a blessing to be alive. It is a blessing to still have his cognitive abilities, the physical ability to go out there and, stand over a grill, the ability to articulate and teach somebody else the method to the madness. Now, I'm very curious, and I know we'll never find out, was why did Unc pick Nick and the coffee shop to save, right? Because according to Nick, they were going through a little bit of a problem during the Kool-Aid era, right? They weren't doing well. And Unc was the one that stepped up and said, man, y'all need to turn this into some food. I can show you a few things. I'm very, very curious, very interested. I want to know, how is it that Aunt chose Nick? Was he an employee of the coffee shop? Was Unc already there when they started going through trials and tribulations? I'm just curious. Because if Unc wasn't already an employee of the coffee shop, I very much want to know, how did he come about choosing Nick? Now, I'm doing my face, so forgive the hesitancy, but y'all know how it is. Now, if Unc was already there working at the coffee shop, then that makes a little bit more sense as to why he would want to save Nick, because at that point he was saving his job as well. Because Nick admitted they was going through something during the Kool-Aid era. They weren't doing too good. He probably was on the verge of shutting down. Um, and Unc was just trying to save his job, I can only assume, because I've never heard them really go into detail. But according to Nick, Unc was coming up with ways to save the company and save his job. Now, when it comes to the owner, Nick, I don't know why. Well, I do know why. We all know why now. Why he didn't see that as a valuable thing that Unc did, saving his restaurant. And I don't understand why he didn't want to share the wealth with that black man. But let me tell you something, Nick, if you ain't feeling the pressure from the people yet, you will. Don't worry. Because word on the curb is you don't have no lines hanging outside your building trying to get in to get that barbecue no more like you had when Unc was there. And it's funny that I keep seeing Nick do videos trying to explain like how he low-key shaded Unc when Unc was sitting next to him. When I met Unc, he didn't have nothing. So that means he truly used Unc. He truly treated him as a mascot, and apparently he didn't think Unc was worth compensation. But see, he is a poor businessman because when they kept saying that Keith Lee stopped by there to eat and tried to leave a $4,000 tip for Unc, and security blocked him, that told me all I needed to hear. I didn't need to hear all of the other videos, talking about this, that, and the third. That was all I needed to hear because you knew that Unc was bringing the masses into your restaurant, and you didn't want Unc getting nothing from nobody because, like you said, Nick, that was your restaurant. That was not Unc's. And you made a comment that Keith felt like Unc was old and needed some help, and you made these comments where you messed around and you let your racist, your prejudice veil come down, Nick, because it wasn't a matter of what Unc needed. Keith tried to recognize Unc for the good barbecue that was coming off that grill to his table. And your people were already in place to make sure that everybody knew Unc was not the owner and make sure that Unc didn't get no additional compensation or recognition other than what you decided you were going to give him. Now, here is the tea. Why did you need security? That's what they was calling it. They was calling it security. When really it was the hired help. It was your bully ass, buster ass, bouncing ass friends. That's what it really ended up being. It ended up being somebody that was put in place to make sure that Unc didn't get anything that you didn't know about, and that's why they blocked the 4,000. Now you know what the realty would have been if he would have let them give Unc that $4,000 and then just call your raggedy ass boss and tell him a black man came in here and gave Unc $4,000, boss, and we didn't know what you wanted us to do. There you go. And then that would have or should have enlightened Nick on the power of black influence, because Keith Lee is definitely a powerful influence in the social media world as well as the physical world. We've watched him go out and give the people, feed the people, share with the people. We've watched him promote restaurants. We've watched him take a restaurant from nothing and make it something, all because he stopped there to eat. He couldn't tell you much else about nothing else, but he stopped there to eat, and he made sure that everybody knew that was good food, good place. This is all prior to Destination Smokehouse. And that could have enlightened Nick to go ahead and do something different with Unc. Make a decision that would be the right thing to do. Do right by him. Make him the face. See, he won't. And there's something, and I have to speak on this. That is something that the Armenians are very much known for. They want all of the credit, they want all of the power, and they want everybody to know. And I know you're probably saying, well, how would you know? You don't know no Armenians. We all know some Armenians. They're called the Kardashians. We can look at how they came on the scene and how they acted and how, they perpetrated and how they used the power of the black man to uh, make it big. Because let's just go on and to be real. While they're known as the Kardashians, the reality of it is, wasn't nobody checking for them until Kim's sex tape came out. And her sex tape happened to have come out with a black man named Ray J, which is Brandy Norwood's little brother. So let's just go ahead and let's just keep it a bean. That's how she became known. That's how she became popular. And that's what got them started. And then once Mama realized the power of the pimp, then it was on from there. They then decided, being Armenian and having a deep a deep tone in their skin somewhat, because they still tan too. They decided they didn't want no Caucasian babies, that they wanted mixed breed babies. And if you notice, all of them decided to have babies by black men. Now, if Nick hadn't been so greedy, and we know he greedy because he got 2 or 3 LLCs for Destination Smokehouse under different names, that just go to tell me that he's shaking and baking, moving a little money here and there, here and there. He's getting all these extra deductions and all of the things. So if he's prospering well, why not share your wealth with Unc? But he was too cocky, and he wanted to be known and seen. He didn't want to be known and seen as long as Unc was doing it, because if he'd have gave a damn, if he had been paying attention to the money that was coming in, he would have been beside Unc the whole time tendernism was being thrown out there. As soon as he realized tendernism was a thing, he tried to trademark it. Now this is where it gets stanky. You tried to trademark something that Unc created in the hopes that if by chance one day he wanted to start his own business, he wanted to branch out, you wanted to make sure he couldn't use that name. And here's the deal. He claimed Unc knew that he filed a trademark for it. But the reality of it is you didn't put Unc's name on the trademark, which meant you did it maliciously. And I believe he didn't think that Unc had the wherewithal or the sense enough to know that if the trademark was approved under Nick's name and Destination Smokehouse, that if Unc had have separated from him and started running his own business, every time he used tendernism, he got to cut a check to Nick. So, in a sense, it is that old school slavery type of mentality where he was trying to lock in Nick's stuff. And here's the thing, he thought getting up, talking, and explaining with Unc beside him, not saying a word, was going to be enough to appease the people. No, you fucked it up with that $4,000. That's what really got this whole thing shaking and baking around here, is that y'all stopped that $4,000. But you will soon see that you let $4,000 interrupt your $1 million business, because now you ain't got no lines, and the few people that's coming there to eat, I bet they not leaving $4,000 tips. So you ain't making the money that you was making when Unc was there. And I do believe, like one of the YouTubers said, I do believe that Unc tried to I think he tried to talk to Nick. Hold on, let me check my alarm real quick. Okay, I do believe that Unc tried to talk to Nick and see if they could come to an agreement of sorts, so that everything could continue as is. And I believe that Nick didn't want to do it. That is how Unc ended up leaving, because the people had to tell him, you being used, you being played. And then he had to sit there and listen to that Armenian man pop his shit, and Unc couldn't really say nothing. You could see the look on his face that he wasn't giving it all, but that he couldn't say very much. But you got to know that our people, there are times when we really do stick together and ride together. And the people saw what was happening, so it was an easy play. So now Destination Smokehouse basically is being canceled, all because the owner was too greedy and wanted to keep everything to himself. Now that Unc's gone, he has gone and got a Latino man to try to stand up and help him showcase his food and talk about his food. But Nick, did you forget we were having a hard time understanding the man, because it sounded like he said something about all you had to do was cough. I couldn't understand him that well towards the end. I commend him for taking a chance and coming to work for you, because while my people will stand together, there are some pretty evil people out there in the world that will do stuff intentionally to break you down. Now, they done already decided they're not going to come eat there no more. That's one thing that's going to break you down. The other thing is, now you done brought the Latino man up on the camera. I hope you know the people will call ICE and tell them that you got a restaurant full of them back there, whether you do or not. So then when ICE come running in and snatch everybody up out of there, now who you got in the back cooking? Because you're going to have to be back there cooking. Good morning, Sassy. Now you're going to have to go back there and do everything that Unc taught you about cooking and grilling and doing all of the things. And it sounded to me like y'all got more than one restaurant, because you said had you known Keith was here, you would have told Eva, let's drop what we doing and go over there. That means you want all the attention, but you don't want to spend no time and energy being there making sure shit is run, because you got somebody else over there running it. You just want the fame, the fortune, and the limelight. But see, Nick, had you taken just a moment to think about what Unc has done for your business, to appreciate it, to appreciate the fact that the people was coming through in droves, and to make things, to top it all off, Keith Lee, a major listen, let me tell you something. The minute you ran your punk ass over there to the restaurant to see what was going on with that $4,000, the people should have said the two words that should have changed your whole mind. Keith Lee. You got 10 fingers and 10 toes. I assume y'all could have sat down and Googled Keith Lee on the internet and found out exactly who you was fucking with. And that would have given you a chance to get your shit together. but you didn't care, you weren't interested, and frankly, you didn't understand who you was fucking with. But now you know, hindsight. And as they used to say on the cartoons, G.I. Joe, knowing is half the battle. Now you know, but it's a day late and a dollar short. So now you want to jump up as all of your bones are falling out of the closet. You want to jump up and do a video and explain. We don't care about your explanations, Nick. We don't want to hear anything about when, where, why, how, and what Unc knew and didn't know, Nick. What you should have done, you didn't do, and getting up in front of a camera explaining to the people just make you look more of a racist asshole than you already are. That's just what it is. Now, all these different people done put in a request to trademark tendernism, and that attorney apparently got it. Now, last I heard, didn't know it had not been approved for anyone, but somebody did say that that attorney down there had it trademarked and wanted to transfer it to Unc. And I also saw a video that said he did transfer it to Unc. Hang on. Unc said when Keeley came, they were right there in the next room. He said all I have to do is knock on the wall or holler his name and he would have came out. Really? Wow. Well, you know, something that Nick should learn from this whole scenario is that when you were in the coffee business, you should have researched coffee critics. When you got into the food business, you and your people should have researched some of the food critics. If you thought Unc needed some help with the advertising and the tenderism, maybe y'all should have called up some people and went and sat on their stage, and maybe you could have awarded Unc something publicly as a personal and thank you for what he's done for your restaurant. And baby, that would have took you to levels you could not have imagined. But the fact that you did him like you did him, and we know he was hurt when he got up and didn't want to speak on it, we knew he was hurt. And I am starting to kind of believe now that an NDA may have been involved, and that's why Unc ain't really been saying none of this because he can't. But you know what, Unc? It ain't no words that you need to say. We understood the assignment. You didn't. But now that you know, and you're off to the races, God is good all the time. So don't even, it ain't even nothing to talk about. I'm just gone and do what you do. Like you say, you're gonna tenderize the world, baby. Do what you do. You're up in age. You know, if God is willing, you'll be here another 20 or 30 years. And you can, live a lifestyle that you may not have been able to live before. The attorney and Unc did a video and he did get the trademark and transferred to Unc. Okay, I saw that. Okay, I saw that. But it be so much going on, it's hard to keep up with. So now here's the T. I hope the attorney understood, like we did, what Unc went through and where Unc may not have understood the assignment. He may not even understand how the trademark works. So I'm hoping that the attorney explains to Unc that nigga, this your shit. Tenderism is all you. And any motherfucker out there trying to use it need to cut that check to you cause it's yours, but you gonna have to go after them. I hope all of these people that are helping Unc that because I saw one brother, I guess he was a rapper, and I want to say it was Texas. He said they done secured a building for Unc, and they done did all this, that, and the third. They got the GoFundMe, whoop-de-whoop. Honestly, I'm not sure Unc needs a building and a restaurant. And I'm going to tell you why I say that. I think needs to be a freelance. I think he should probably do what he's doing now. And that would be pretty much personal and or private catering. And the reason I say that is because, and I've said this a couple of times to different people, even though he's got that GoFundMe, everything is going good. The people are standing by him. They can't wait to eat the food. The reality of it is getting that building and opening a restaurant is so much fucking overhead. It is so much overhead. We're not talking about the utilities. We talking about building codes, inspection codes. The food people gonna be coming by checking on you. You gotta pass this report card. You got insurance. You gotta have all of these protections in case somebody eats something and say they got sick from his place. Wages, salary. He gotta worry about theft. You gotta get security cameras. It's so much involved with getting a building. And again, Unc is up in age. I don't know exactly how old he is, but getting a building, if it ain't bought and paid for and he's got to lease it, it's a lot that's gonna come with that building. Now I can only imagine how much he was paid when he went and cooked for Isley. That was for the man and wife's birthday. We watched Unc go to the Home Depot and get a grill and get everything he need to go over there and cook it. Now the lady said he got them a grill. No, bitch, I think he got the grill so that he could cook. He didn't have a grill that he could do portable. But it's nothing for him to put together a little truck or something where he can travel with his own supplies and people can hire him to come and cook and do things and he can make a lot of money. Hang on, I see you. Unc said he doesn't want a restaurant because he has to get up at 4 a.m. and he's an old man. Exactly. He'd rather travel and tend to not. That's right. Okay, good deal. Good deal. Good looking out, Sassy. Thank you for telling me. Because I only get to see bits and pieces, and it's almost repetition because the people are using all of the other people's videos, so it's the same thing being played over and over again, and it's not really a lot of new information that's coming down my algorithm. So good looking out. Thank you for telling me. But yeah, having that building is not that's not the best choice for him, and I'm glad he's able to recognize that because he can make his good money by going here, there, here, there, here, and there. Now they do need to figure out the logistics of how they would get his grill, his smoker, and all of his supplies and what he needs to go to these different places because I would think he doesn't want to be buying a grill everywhere he touches down to cook for someone. That would be kind of stupid. So just get a grill and find a way to let it travel with you some way, somehow. Hell, we don't even know if we're gonna be having any traveling going on here soon because they talking about shutting down airports. They said the pilots is calling off, the TSA workers is calling off. Ain't nobody coming to work. They want to close down 15 airports. So we don't know how all of that's gonna work, but I'm sure they can find a way. If they have to rent a goddamn Greyhound, I'm sure they can find a way. But here is the kicker. Unc is fixing to go out there and surpass what Destination Smokehouse could have received. And it ain't enough talking that Nick can do that can save his restaurant because the people been going by there on a regular basis, and they said it ain't no lines out there. It's almost like we didn't shut it down. And I say we only because it's my people out there doing the work in Georgia. But yeah, Texas or wherever the hell they at. But yeah, it seemed like the people didn't like what went down, and Nick thinks that he can pick up and carry on what somebody else was doing. Let me tell you something. If you are a business owner and food is your business, then when it comes to marketing and all of that type of stuff, you need to be out there doing the marketing. Your face need to be shown because if you let somebody else do the marketing, they're the face of your brand. And if you don't like that, then you need to put your face out there with them so that the people can know who you are, and that way it won't be no accidents. Now that's not going to change if somebody want to come there and want to give your main cook a lot of money. If you going to cock block the next man, then you pretty much done sabotaged yourself, which you have successfully done already. Yeah, he did an interview with Sherry Shepherd too. I think he should get him a little truck and put yes and go state to state. Yes, right. Need to start my car. But yes. So Nick think that getting up, talking and explaining and telling and all this. Ooh, that's a spider web. Let's show this child. Nick think that all of this explaining is going to make a difference. It's not. And that's why I say Nick is not, he's not that smart. He's not smart at all. He don't think about it. He just want what he want. He don't give a damn what nobody say, what they think. And hey, that's his shit. So he can do whatever he want to do with it. You know, if he don't want to give nobody they praise and they kudos, if he don't want to share his blessings with somebody that really turned his company around, hey, go ahead. That's his business. You don't have sharing, recognizing, or helping the next person. I hope he now understands that is a bad look on him. That's a testimony to his character. So he can't, as Nene Leaks would say, you can't win when you play dirty, and that's just a fact. And listen, here's the reality is that when um when somebody has got out there in the world and got their feet wet, and they have made some stride in what they're trying to do, some motherfuckers you can't tell them shit because they want to do it the way they want to do it. They know, and listen, it's not that I know everything. I don't know everything, and I don't claim to know everything. However, um, I can definitely give some good advice that is credible, and it can easily be confirmed and checked on. So when people talk to me for help or ideas or have questions, or if they're sharing something that they're planning, of course, as a friend, I'm going to tell you what's right. I'm going to tell you be careful, protect yourself, do all of the things. I have discovered the hard way that some people you just can't help because they really they don't want the help like that. Some people you can't tell shit, and so those people have to learn the hard way. I saw a video and there was nobody there, and there was no line out there no more. I'm glad we are standing with him. Me too, Sassy. Me too. I'm glad we standing with him too. And I hope that whoever is on his team is counseling him, because I don't think he understands how the business side of the world works. He didn't even realize he was getting played. Had it not been for Keith Lee, he'd still be there making this man rich while he low key shitting on him the whole time. So, and information and communication is how you're gonna succeed. If you don't open your mouth, as grandma said, closed mouths don't get fed. So if you don't open your mouth and ask questions, if you don't open your mouth and talk and have conversations, then you'll never find out the easy way. It'll only be hard. And again, it is what it is. Like he said, ain't no need in being mad and upset about it. He right, because he fell into the trap and he didn't even know. But again, I say the $1 million question is how did you decide to help Nick? Was he your neighbor? and you went to the coffee house every week for coffee, and you knew he wasn't doing good? Or were you an employee of the coffee house, and the coffee house wasn't doing good, and you was trying to help save not only your job, but you was trying to help save the coffee house, so you redirected him? And here is the deal. Here is what makes me really, really angry. Like I said, I feel like this is something that oh boy wanted to do, if not had already been doing for a while. I say that because if you were a coffee house, then that means your licenses were only for beverages, because coffee house only sell coffee. You may have some little knickknacks or whatever in there, but when Unc talked him into opening a restaurant, now you gotta create a new LLC. You gotta get new licenses. You gotta get new NAICS codes. You gotta do all of this stuff to get the restaurant going. And then you got Unc right by your side the whole time, teaching you and educating you on how to cook barbecue. And you couldn't have been successful had he not started the Tender-nism marketing campaign. Because him grabbing that bone and shaking that meat off is what got everybody's attention. Hell, the first time I seen him, I was like, "Oh shit, let me look this up so I can go over there and check out the barbecue." But hell, it was they not up here in California. They way the hell in Georgia. So I was like, "Oh well, Pop doing his thing." I thought he was the owner too, and I thought, "Wow, the owner is up in front, marketing and campaigning and doing his thing. You know, advertising his restaurant. That's pretty good." And he's an old man too. So I assumed the kids didn't know how to do it right, so he did it. If it wasn't for Keith Lee, I wouldn't have known that he didn't own the restaurant either. Wouldn't have never known. So, um, Nick, while he's a businessman, he's definitely he was on the short bus. Because with any business comes thought, preparation, logistics, strategy. You got to have a plan. You got to cover all your bases. And Nick covered all his bases with the exception of recognizing Unc as a major player in the money that he was making. No, they're in California. They just like 3 or 4 hours away from us. Oh, really? Why did I think the people was in Georgia? I don't know, child. Well, I wanted to go there. Oh, Marietta, because you know what? When I hear Marietta, I think Marietta, Georgia. But I think the Marietta in Georgia is Murrieta or something like that, right, Sassy? I think it's Marietta, California. I wanted to go, but I wasn't driving that. Girl, me neither. I ain't driving that far for no damn barbecue. As much as I wanted to go, I wasn't driving that far for no barbecue. But I did want some. I did. As soon as I saw them, because I love barbecue. But when it comes to business, it's a lot of things that you have to consider. And again, if you have a whole restaurant, and that would be in a building, yeah, it that means you gotta stay on your toes. You gotta think about it. You gotta play it out just right. So yeah, he was using Nick as the mascot, and Nick was not Nick. I'm sorry, he was using Unc as the mascot, and Unc was content at the time being the mascot. And I think had the $4,000 not been the straw that broke the camel's back, I think Unc would still be there. But it was too much outrage behind what happened. And I believe that his friends and family got in his ear and told him, man, if that's how he gonna do you, might as well just go head on. So I commend him for having the strength to walk away, even though Nick claimed that Unc was not asked to leave. Do you not realize if this man says he wants a cut or he wants a raise and you're not willing to give it to him, that's the same thing as asking him to leave. Because if you're not going to meet him halfway, then what other choice do he have but to leave? So, anyway, you know, Nick, I hope you saved up enough money, for your family to figure out an alternative way of making your money, because apparently Destination Smokehouse is not going to do it for you now. And now Mr. Tender-nism is about to be on the road. If you use that terminology, I'm sure they're gonna come upside your head for their money, because once it's patented and trademarked, and if you notice, you have to say on the trademark how the term will be used. So I'm sure there will come back to this time next year about this trademark and where everybody is at. I can't remember the story that they said, but I think Unc was going to the coffee shop, and then around the time we shut down, Unc told him about doing the barbecue. Oh, okay. Because I know he had said they weren't doing well, and Nick told him he ought to do something else. So yeah, so you took that man in, and now if he back there cooking, you watching and learning, and to think that you're just going to be able to pick up where he left off after he leave, you got to be crazy, nigga. This is America. That's not how it work. I don't know how they do it over there in Armenia, but this is America, and it's not going to go down that way. So hopefully Nick has learned a valuable lesson, and hopefully he can pick up and move on after this, because Unc most certainly has. And now that I think about it, I definitely want to know how he's doing in the next few months. And I talked to one of my girlfriends back home the other day. I miss her. I haven't seen her since the last time I went home. She's talking about coming up here, spending some time with me, and I think I want to ask her to come on my birthday, because some of my cousins are talking about coming up this year for my birthday, and I'm thinking maybe we can get Unc to come in and throw some meat on the grill for us. So I'm gonna see how it goes. But even with the catering and the cook, you really need to check and make sure that those people have a business license, um, and that they are either insured or bonded. Because here's the deal: wherever you go to eat, if you get a hold of some bad food and it make you sick, of course you need to be trying to sue somebody, like Miss Tina did at the thing down there cooking that gumbo. Seafood, child, let me tell you, seafood sickness is a whole different type of monster. That is the worst thing. Bad seafood can kill you. And even though it's barbecue and it can't, he has told us it won't fall off the bone if it's not cooked all the way through. But still, if you're calling somebody to cater, you want to make sure they're insured. Unc said he never got $4,000, so he would have loved that 4,000, but he wasn't about the money. He said if it was anybody and they asked to see him, he would have came. Now I believe it. I believe it. I believe he would have came out, because the people are coming to see you. And yes, he probably ain't never had $4,000 in his hand at one time. But here is the difference between somebody who is passionate about what they're doing, and somebody that's out there doing it for the money. The motherfucker that's passionate about what they doing, the money gonna come if you doing it well. You ain't gotta stress and strife over that part. If what you're doing you're passionate about and you're good at doing it, the money gonna come. The money don't really play no part in it. But a person that's money hungry, they don't save, they don't strategize, they don't have logistical plan written out, they don't have none of that. So then when things start feeling shaky, things not going too well, they don't have nothing to fall back on, and they just have to ride the wave and pray about it and hope they can survive through it. So I believe that this cooking and this food and this barbecue is definitely a passion of Unc's. So, that's why I say he don't need no restaurant. He just need to be able to travel, go here, go there. And see, with him, he's got the ability to require a deposit. He's got the ability to dictate I only fly on Delta or Southwest. I only stay at the Marriott or the DoubleTree. See, that's something I learned with Maddie, right? When people book you, request you, want you to come, you get to lay out your trip. They're going to pay for your flight. You only fly first class. It is what it is. You only stay at certain hotels. You lay out what you want and how you want to be reimbursed. And that's how it goes. So whereas one person can't book that person can say, hey, y'all, let's throw a party. It's going to be, $50 a head or $100 a head to throw this party because we're going to get Unc to come down here and cook for us. Now, if you get 100 people to pay $100, that's $100,000. Hell yeah, y'all can get Unc to come down here. You can pay his airfare, his hotel, and pay him for the cooking because you also got to pay for you're going to be paying him for the money he spent on the food, but you're going to ultimately give your menu to him, so he's going to get exactly the food that you want him to cook. Aunt said he used to work in Vegas, and I think it was at Caesar Palace. He has a daughter that lives in Vegas. Okay. Well, yes, I wish Unc well. I want him to do well, and I don't think any of us have to worry about him, letting money be the root of all evil, because cooking is what he likes to do. That's his specialty. But barbecuing and tenderizing the world, that's what he does. And as long as he's doing that, he's gonna be happy. So, I wish him well, and Nick, I hope you learned a valuable lesson. It doesn't look like you have, but it seems like now you understand what the face of the brand means. Now you want everybody to know it's your shit. But you're not the one back there cooking. You got the little Mexican man back there cooking, and now you got to bring the Mexican man out. So what your videos are showing us now, Nick, not only that you seem to be somewhat racist, but you're a manipulator, probably a narcissist, and you can't do it by yourself. So you got to constantly now try to bring somebody else out to try to do the talking for you when you had somebody you just didn't want to pay him what he was worth. So may you get what you deserve. God bless everything. And Unc, I wish you well. I wish you peace and prosperity. And, may you live a long life. All right, Sassy. Love you, Mama. Thank you for stopping by. And I'll talk to y'all later.